Hello, folks. Greetings from Louisiana and greetings from
Yorkshire.
Yorkshire in England, which is part of the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Hello. Tonight.
Hello.
Hello. Today, this morning, this afternoon in England, we're looking at Grolsch. Now, what size bottle do you have, sir?
450 ml.
Same as mine.
And the ABV is 5%.
Ah, so we have the same beer today.
Yeah.
Well, folks, Louisiana Beer Review's teaming up with, once again, one of the greats of the beer review world, Stuart Pickard of... Whoa, that was a pop. It popped into my face, the mist. Genriel Trail. Wow. We're not looking at ale, we're looking at lager.
One of the biggest and most well-known lagers in the world.
Yeah, Euro lager.
Now, I pronounce it Grolsch. How do you pronounce it?
Grolsch.
So it's
same.
Yeah.
I've drank it over the years. Never had a bad experience yet.
Oh. I've drank it mostly in pubs and bars.
I talked to home brewers. They said they like the Grolsch flip caps because they can use it for home brew.
Yeah. I mean, when we decided to do Grolsch, and the majority of times we can get it canned mostly now, or the pop cap. But you've got to get this one. If you're going to buy Grolsch, you've got to buy the original.
Yeah. I think that the cap is plastic today, though. It used to be ceramic, I believe.
Yes, it did. Back in the olden days. When I was young and you was even younger.
Yep. Now, 5% alcohol, that's a pretty good strength, similar to Budweiser in America.
Yeah.
I don't know what other beers in England are 5%.
Majority of lagers nowadays are 5%. But the difference is in Britain, a lot of the lagers are lower ABV.
Yeah, because of that tax they put in, right?
Yeah, the tax everything here in UK.
Yeah.
So we have to have a lower ABV on almost everything. It's normally below 4%.
Yeah.
The only cap you've got, and I don't mean the one on your head, I mean the ABV cap is basically if it's around 10%, 8%, you're not allowed to brew any beer above. I mean, in Louisiana, what's the highest ABV you're allowed to brew?
No limit that I'm aware of.
Ah, okay.
I've seen them
So
as high as 17%.
Yeah.
Which is not something I care to drink, really. Anyway, nice straw appearance, huh?
Yeah. Sandy to straw colour. Not much Ed on mine. I'm using Foster's etched glass.
Well, you can see the thin, I don't know what this glass is called, a flute glass maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's thin and it produced quite a bit of foam.
Yeah, I thought I'll use a lager glass just to generate some head, but no. But it smells nice.
Now, let me get a little aroma. Yours has a freshness date on the label. Mine certainly does.
Let's have a look.
It says April 22nd, 2015.
Mine's 10th of the 9th, 2015, so it's September.
Wow, even fresher.
Next year.
And the ingredients are water, barley malt, and hops, and yeast, of course. Oh, what a wonderful aroma.
There's no ingredients on mine.
No? Mine says imported by Grolsch Importers, Washington, D.C. They give a phone number, and then it says brewed in Enschede, Holland, Ingredients: water, malted barley, and hops.
Ah, yeah, found it. Yeah.
Sweet, biscuity aroma, bready, grassy hop aroma.
Mm.
In the vein of
Heineken. Says beer brewed and bottled by Grolsch Beer Brew and Sheedy Holland. Grolsch.co.uk.
1615. That's quite old. That's when the Netherlands was still part of the Holy Roman Empire, at least in a technical sense, and before they even had officially the country of the Netherlands. So this is a very historic company. Now the beer, I'm sure they weren't. You would probably agree they probably weren't brewing this lager in 1615, right? That didn't.
No, I mean I think they probably fine-tuned it over the years.
Yeah.
I bet in the olden days it was a bit too.
It's probably cloudy ale that they brewed in 1615, but it might have been good nonetheless. But I know this beer has won many awards, and it's pretty well renowned. Some people will talk back and forth saying they prefer Heineken over this or this over Heineken. So you have various camps, and that's interesting.
I think this has got more taste than Heineken. It's got more flavour to it, but Heineken's just you can't argue Heineken's one of the best in the world.
No. And if you're trying to say which one is better,
apples and oranges.
No, I wouldn't say apples and oranges. It's like which one is really, really good. They're both so high that even if you say Grolsch is better, that doesn't mean that Heineken is not exceptional and shouldn't be drunk, right? I'll be right back.
We had Peroni and Biamotti, and they're both good in their own way.
Right.
And we try to decide which were better, and we're like, this is better at this, but it's not as good on there. Whereas this one's better at this, but it's not as good as there. Like,
right. So we couldn't really determine which one was better. We did figure out that we enjoyed both. I'll be right back.
No worries. But yeah, I mean, Grolsch is one of the first beers that I actually drank when I was beginning picking up different beers. I think it was Stella, Carlsberg Export, and Grolsch. But Grolsch is always
and the price is generally very nice.
Yeah, I mean, I purchased this free for £5. I got this. I got a cider, and I got I think it was the Erdinger. Which I reviewed last night with the beer guy, Harry Meadows. Oh,
I bet that was enjoyable.
Yeah, it was. What was good about it is basically it was one of Harry's first wheat ales. So it was nice to share a new experience with Harry.
Yeah, I've been enjoying Harry's videos.
Yeah.
He's good company.
So what are you eating today then?
Oh, just a little pre-packaged meal, but I have some fresh bread that I bought, and I was putting some butter on it, and I thought that might go well with this as a little follow-up. And I have some spinach salad that I'm going to eat later.
Yeah. I've just had some lentil soup that I purchased from a supermarket.
Oh, my grandmother loves that stuff. Well, don't you find the body is light? Rather light, but it has some body to it. It has body. It's not just watery.
I don't find it watery at all. I mean, I find it like almost like a really thin pale ale, but with a lager twist.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so malty, but it's nice. Getting sort of like a bit of honey to it, almost. Like a slight sweetness.
Yeah, and it's not the least bit skunked in my green bottle.
Oh. Well, I mean, we've talked about different lagers that we've had. What we've not really talked about is the different colours that you can get the lager in. brown, green, clear, black. And the majority of the times, they mistake the fact that it's not actually skunked. It's because it's been sat in the bottle for so long.
Yeah.
You've got to let it aerate before you drink it. And it's not skunkiness. It's just like all the sweeteners or the sugars have settled in the beer, so it's getting off like a skunky aroma.
You're right. And you made a very important point about aerating the beer.
Yes.
These beers, if you open the bottle, even if it's a clear bottle, and you let it set for about 1 minute, then you pour it in a glass and maybe let it set another 30 seconds, you'll not get any of the skunk.
No. I mean, these are major companies that put a lot of money into making sure you have the best experience drinking this beer. Now, they choose the colour of the bottle on the design of the beer. The bottle's green because the Grolsch logo and design is green.
With red highlights, right.
Yeah. The majority of the time, it comes down to price as well. I mean, and technology. I mean, the technology nowadays, a lot of companies seek into light reflective glassware, don't they? I mean, it's impossible for the sunlight to destroy the beer nowadays.
Yes. Now, excuse me. I put a little red pepper on it.
You need spices.
Yeah. What was I forgot what I was going to say. You were talking about the reflective.
Yeah, I mean the different.
Oh! I remember now. I was reading. You're familiar with Corona Extra, right?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I've had a few times.
From Mexico. I was reading on their website. Now, if you get on the Grupo Modelo website, they have very extensive history and information about each brand. And of course, Corona Extra is their flagship, so they have a lot of information. And they said that at one time, they tried to make it in a brown bottle because of the skunking issue, right? But the customers said, no, we want the clear bottle. Why are you messing with the beer? So they didn't care about the skunk. They just wanted the beer to be like it was supposed to be, Corona in a clear bottle, so they could see that golden color. So they said, fine, and they went back to clear. And there's only one bottle that they sell it in the brown glass. But that's interesting to me that the company tried to put it in brown bottles to improve the quality of the beer, but the fans, the customers, didn't like it.
Well, the majority of times, like bottles of Corona, like you say, they're sold in bars and restaurants, and they're drunk from the bottle.
Right.
With a shot of lime, or is it lime?
Lime, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you look into the history of that, basically the original reason for putting the lime in the bottle, it was to keep the flies away.
Yeah.
So, because you probably noticed yourself, I mean, the amount of times when you set your glass down on a hot day, you'll get a fly in your beer.
Yeah. Right. Look at this foam. Now, well,
I should use mine of a glass.
I've rarely used these glasses. I bought these glasses at somebody who had a yard sale, and I think the glasses, I paid $1 for 4 of them for a set. Yeah, and it's Tabasco, which is a famous hot sauce around the world. So I said, well, $1 for 4 glasses in perfect condition, and they're probably very old. I said, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I collect glassware as well. I mean, it's even better when you go to like charity shops or yard sales or what do you call charity shops in America? I've forgotten.
What kind of shops?
You know where the money goes to charity?
Thrift stores.
Yeah, thrift store. It's great. I mean, the money goes into like a good fund, and you get a collective glassware. Whereas if you buy it from like a bottle shop or a bar, you end up paying like 3 times, 10 times the amount for just a glass.
Yeah, the same thing, and it's not going to a charity. Well, I like the label design of Grolsch beer, I like the way the bottle is embossed.
I know, I'm keeping the bottle.
It's an attractive bottle. It's an
Yeah.
attractive label where it has the paper and you have to break the paper tab.
Yeah, I mean, that adds like a special thing. I mean, in the olden days, a lot of times, like jam jars and stuff like that, you would know if it were fresh, if it would still have the seal on.
Yeah. You're right. And I like everything about it. And I guess we should let the viewers know that Grolsch, the company, the Grolsch Brewery was bought by SAB-Miller a few years ago. So it is under the umbrella of the very huge SAB-Miller beer empire. And
as you say, I mean, even though it's part of a bigger company, what these bigger companies do, we've said this enough times on all the lager videos, what these do is they get a way to make better profit for that smaller brewery, and then they get a bigger profit because they've got ownership of it.
Right.
I mean, it's the reason. I mean, where I mean, a beer from the Netherlands, you're having it in Louisiana, USA, and I'm having it in Yorkshire, UK. I mean, how else would I said this to Harry last night. There's no other way neither of us would be able to get a beer from Netherlands without the cooperation of SAB-Miller or InBev or Molson Coors, Carlsberg, Heineken.
Or Heineken International or Carlsberg Group. And beyond that, we would be paying a lot more if we did get it.
Yes. If it was still part of Grolsch, the beer would not be as cheap or be a part of like multi-buy deals either, because you'd be paying I'd be paying like £3.50, £6 for a bottle of lager. You'd be paying about $3 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it'd be not as open in every store. You'd have to go to special stores to get a beer from the Netherlands.
Right. And I can go to many gas stations where people stop to buy gasoline for their cars, or as they say in Great Britain, petrol. And
yeah, I mean, when I was in Ohio,
they'll have Grolsch on the shelf.
Yeah. You have like supermarket drive-thrus, don't you?
Yeah.
They had some in Ohio.
Yeah.
What it is you basically drive in, while you're getting your car serviced or getting petrol, you can actually pick up your groceries along the way. And like you say, you won't be able to buy Grolsch at these drive-thrus or supermarkets or anything without the aid of these bigger groups like SA-Miller, Heineken, and so forth.
Right, right. So I think it works to everybody's advantage.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that it comes in this really cool bottle, it tastes really nice. And it's a nice bridge from lager drinkers to pale ales for me, this beer.
Yes, I think for people, and we know in the beer world that there's a lot of animosity, which is strange to me, but there's a lot of animosity towards your Carling drinker, your Budweiser drinker. You know, the type of person, they're a middle-class person. They don't get on the internet for hours and research beer brands. They just go to a bar or a pub, and they've drank Budweiser or Carling for 20 years. They drink it, and they enjoy it, and they didn't realize they weren't supposed to like it. And you know what I'm saying? So
yeah. I mean, just take another thing. I mean, in America, you just recently had Black Friday.
Yeah.
And the beer that everybody was buying up and wanting to buy is the Goose Island Bourbon Brand Stout.
Yeah. Right.
The rarest beer, and everybody was buying it up as all the variations of this Goose Island Brand Stout. Now, if it wasn't part of InBev, which also owns different lager companies, you wouldn't be able to get those kind of beers.
No, you wouldn't have to wait in line for 12 hours in the snow. You might wait in line for 2 months.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be able to get it in your town anyway. Now that the distribution has expanded, we haven't gotten it yet. but we do get Goose Island now, and we never got Goose Island beer ever until InBev bought it. Ever, we never got it. And I was pleased with the Goose Island beers I had. But the point I was making about the Carling drinkers is that if you wanted to suggest to them to move up in the beer drinking ladder, Grolsch might be a good stepping stone.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not going to give them John Courage Russian Imperial Stout.
No, I mean, when I first started drinking, Stella and lagers, different like Carlsberg Export and stuff like that. Then I went on to the Grolsch, I went on to the Erlingers, the Polish beers, and then I went on to the Pale Ales and stuff like that. I went on to the Wheat Ales. And this is a perfect way from getting from a lager to a Pilsner, then onto a Wheat Ale or a Pale Ale, and then trying more of like the current craft beers or the... I mean, you won't go from this to an IPA or this to a stout or this. Mind you, you could really drink a stout any time because the majority of the stouts taste like coffee or chocolate.
Yeah, but you know how... But it's hard to explain that to your Carling drinker because they have an impression in their mind that the stronger or darker beers are nasty or some kind of way, right? And
well, these those black lagers and stuff like that. I mean, they can be a bit off-putting.
Right, and so unfortunately, the approach that many of the more exotic beer drinkers take to a person like I'm talking about, instead of saying, and they were telling me this when I was going to a class, a meeting today about how to teach religion class. She said, we don't want to approach it with, you will do this. She said, because that only drives the students away. She said, we want to be inviting. We want to invite the students, not to harass them so they never go back to church. I said, well, I agree with that. And so, but unfortunately, the approach that many of the exotic beer drinkers take toward the ordinary Budweiser drinker is, you stupid git, you daft moron, why don't you drink something good? And then they can't understand why the person never will try the beer that they were demanding that they drink. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes they don't frame it properly. And I used to be guilty of that years ago.
And there's also the fact that majority of the times, the only argument is it's owned by a big company.
Yeah, that's not a good argument.
But the majority of the stuff you purchase, like your clothes, your trainers, they're big companies. If you go on to like you want in those kind of stuff, and you try to say, oh no, you got to look for the little guy. Why don't you buy that handmade pair of jeans, those handmade trainers, and pay like £3 million or whatever? Stupid. You don't. You buy these.
No, and you're making a good point because the same people, and we know they're called the craft beer snobs.
Yeah.
They will say, no, it's owned by InBev, it's owned by SAB, they ruined it, it's no good, don't buy it. They'll turn right around and they'll put something on Facebook about how they love this movie. They love this movie. Well, wait a minute, the movie was produced by Paramount Pictures. That's a major company. How dare you support a movie made by the big guys? You should only ever watch small, obscure, independent films that only a few dozen people watch, right?
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Exactly that thing.
Huh?
And the other argument we've said enough times is, oh, it has no taste, or I'd rather drink my own. It's like, no, you wouldn't. If it's life and death between drinking Grolsch or drinking your own urine, you drink the Grolsch because it's beer. Beer's good for you in moderation.
Right, and not only that, and I also do a lot of moderation every day, but and also moderation, that's the key. And also they make the argument that the stuff has no flavor, but I try to be very non-partisan when I taste a beer, and I find, wait a minute, it does have flavor. What are you talking about? Like this beer here. This is not too common in America, right? But I know in England it has a different label, but people say, oh, it has no flavor. This beer has flavor. You've heard of this. You see this beer, right?
They wouldn't sell it on. It wouldn't be one of the biggest sellers. Like Grolsch, it wouldn't be one of the biggest sellers if it tasted of nothing.
Right. It's the #1 beer in South Africa, Carling Black Label. But
Yeah.
it has no flavor. So these millions of people a day drink it, and it has no flavor, and they don't enjoy it. Even though they thought they enjoyed it, they thought it tasted good. But, you know, I guess we've beaten that horse to death. But it does. And the only reason we talk about it all the time is because we hear about it all the time, right?
It's every time. Every time we put a picture up of a beer we drank, like Grolsch or Carling or Erding or not Erding, but you know what I mean. They always say, "Why did you drink that?" Because we're beer reviewers. We've got to sample every beer to give you what our verdict is on that beer.
Right. And we apologize to the beer snobs because we don't hate the beers we're supposed to hate. We apologize, and we'll be the first to admit that
we sacrifice our own self
for you
to sample these beers to let people know if they're good or bad. I mean, I've had some horrendous beers, and the majority of the time they've been craft beers, real ales.
You should not say that. We did a beer examination of Boddington's about a month ago, and they had people jumping off of bridges, setting their homes on fire and everything when they found out we were doing Boddington's. Remember that?
Yeah, and I managed to have it on tap, and I managed to have it in can, which we shared together. Not literally, because it'd be a long drink. But we enjoyed it.
Right, and we had people calling us out and saying, you did not enjoy it. It's a terrible beer. It's a dead beer. They told us it was a dead beer, even though it seemed not to be dead.
Yeah, one other thing. Natural reaction. Now, if you drank something or smelt something you don't like, you would naturally react.
Right.
We can't drink this and go falsify. We're drinking it. And we're taking in all the taste notes. If it had an offensive smell or a taste, you would instantly know because we go.
Right. Like if I drink this beer, you would notice I hated it because it's a horrendous beer. And I'll be the first one to admit that's why it's sold for such a low price. It's sold at an unusually low price. Like if you go into a store, you would say, "Why is that beer so inexpensive? It's strange." And then you buy it and you say,
You know.
"Oh my goodness, how could they produce this?" And it's funny because some people will drink it, but I mean, most people wouldn't even drink that. But anyway, we have some interesting ones. We're going to be on Stuart's channel for some beers like Murphy's. Which, I have a can. I'm having a little trouble finding a single can of Guinness Draft, sadly. But I didn't want to pay.
You can have Murphy's on yours.
Oh, I love that Murphy's beer. Unfortunately, it's made by Diageo, so.
Ooh.
Okay.
Sounds like a sports team. But final thoughts on taste, aroma, and overall impression of Grolsch.
My final thought: I think it's a legendary beer and deservedly so.
Nice. I'd buy it again. I have before. I think the bottle, like you say, the top was better quality before. But as always, you have to cut costs somewhere. But it hasn't altered any flavour at all.
No.
I'd buy it again.
When they changed over from the
almost like fresh bread.
Yeah. When they switched over from the ceramic top to the plastic, I'm sure they did extensive research to see if it would affect it in any way, and it didn't, of course.
No, I bet the reason they probably went from plastic or whatever material this is from ceramic is probably the ceramic one kept on breaking.
Yeah, ceramic is made out of clay, and it's very brittle, and I'm sure it would break. And the plastic is durable, more durable, and cheaper. I'm sure it's more inexpensive. Well, thank you for joining me, and I appreciate. And actually, Stuart came up with this idea, and I appreciate his brilliant ideas that he has on these beers.
I have one now and again. But yeah, I've enjoyed this. I'm enjoying these session the beers that we're trying. These these commercial beers that we would not normally buy because we try and support all these local breweries.
Yeah.
And it's nice to revisit beers that we started out drinking before we now drink.
Right. Correct. So I agree, and we got a lot more coming, I think. So thank you, folks. You take care.
Take care.
Y'all come on down to New Orleans.
Louisiana.
Goodbye.